got nothing further to add.
And there wasn't.
No further comment to make about this matter. I've canvassed these matters in great detail. I've answered your question about 15 times and the answer won't change.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And that was Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews dodging a barrage of questions in the first week of the state election campaign, after this front-page shocker in News Corp's Melbourne tabloid rocked his re-election bid.
Crash fight, exclusive.
Cyclist hit by Andrews' car says it was speeding, demands justice.
That Herald Sun scoop by senior reporter Michael Warner, just 2 days into the campaign, had the young victim of a terrible crash, Ryan Muleman, fighting for justice.
My fight for the truth.
Young cyclist hit by Andrew's car breaks silence, saying he's been denied justice.
Why did my son nearly die?
A near fatal crash with a reckless Premier behind the wheel. Well, that's what readers might have thought. So, when did this crash happen? Last week? Last month? Well, no.
Ryan Muleman's legal team last month requested access to documents the then teen signed in the aftermath of the January 2013 smash.
That's right, almost a decade ago, when Andrews was opposition leader. And was he behind the wheel? No again. Andrews was in the passenger seat. His wife, Catherine, was driving. And was she driving recklessly? Did she break any road rules? Was she at fault? No, no and no, at least according to police who investigated the crash and pressed no charges. And we've known all this for years, since the Herald Sun's first attempt to beat the story into a scandal a week after the accident in January 2013.
Dad's crash dismay. Exclusive.
Father slams Daniel Andrews after taxpayer-funded car driven by Labor leader's wife collides with his son.
Andrews first dealt with the carry-on then, going on 3AW to deny any cover-up and the family's claims that he and his wife Catherine didn't care.
She's, I think, had 5 conversations with police in less than a week, getting an update each time on his condition. So we've been well informed, and perhaps Ryan's father doesn't know that we've made those calls, and maybe that's why he's angry. Maybe he thinks that we haven't been interested. Far from it. Which I think could be further from the truth.
2 years later, Catherine Andrews talked to the Herald Sun about the accident, which happened at lunchtime on the way back from the beach.
I made a right-hand turn into the street where we were staying, and a cyclist slammed into the side of the car from nowhere.
Her account was apparently confirmed by damage to a side panel of the car. Then in 2017, amid a flurry of speculation and FOI requests, Daniel Andrews called a press conference and exhausted the press pack by going through the incident again in detail.
There's a lot of pretty awful stuff being peddled around the place, and I want to answer it once and for all today.
And for an hour, he did.
The state's anti-corruption watchdog also examined the case and the failure of police to breathalyse Catherine Andrews at the scene. In 2017, they too were cleared of any wrongdoing. And the father of the victim then wanted to move on too, as he told Seven.
It's all history now. It was 4 years ago. It's done and dusted.
Or not, as it turns out. So, why has the story reared its head this time? Well, the victim, who received an $80,000 no-fault payout from the Transport Accident Commission, is now spruiking his story.
People have a right to know, and they should know, and it's not right that they listen to Daniel Andrews' stories.
The Herald Sun suggested that Ryan may sue, although what he could sue for was not made clear. And according to the legal experts we spoke to, avenues for action may have expired. Shine Lawyers TAC claims leader Nicole Ward told us,
To pursue these options, an injured person must act within 6 years of the accident or their 18th birthday.
Ryan has already reached 24, so his opportunity appears to have gone. But none of that context was in the Herald Sun's article, nor any mention of what might be driving the story. As 3AW's Neil Mitchell told listeners last week,
You've got to be cynical about the timing here. Why does it come up in an election campaign? There's no smoking gun or suggestion that the Premier or his wife have done anything wrong. And I repeat, I just don't know why it has come out now, just as the election campaign begins.
One can only guess. So, were the rest of the media also cynical about the timing? Did they accept the Premier had dealt with the issue many times before? Well, no. When Andrews fronted cameras on his daily campaign stop, it was all that some journalists wanted to talk about.
Faced with 17 questions today,
I've got nothing further to add, and I've got nothing further to say, and I've got no comment to make on that.
17 questions, all handled with a straight bat. And now the media had a fresh story on the Premier dodging questions, which haunted him in the evening bulletins.
A controversial crash that left a teenage cyclist badly injured has come back to haunt the Premier.
But on the second official day of the campaign, Daniel Andrews' past came back to haunt him.
The Premier was also forced to confront his past once again.
But he's been dogged by questions about the past.
But still, the Herald Sun wasn't done. Next day, another front-page bombshell.
A witness to the Daniel Andrews family car crash has detailed the traumatic moments in the aftermath of the accident.
And after that was also picked up by journos on the campaign trail, the Hun doubled down and launched another Michael Warner missile with this front page.
The steps that took down a Premier.
Yep, an exclusive first look at the incriminating stairs the Premier fell down while on holiday last year, which led him to fracture his spine and take several months off work. And in a double-page spread inside, the Hun listed all the ridiculous conspiracy stories about the accident, while admitting that none had been proven and all had been dismissed by the Premier. And what was Andrews' response when asked about the story?
What, you're going to interview the stairs next? Like, people can go as low as they want. I'm not coming there with them.
I have seen some rubbish in my time, but the Herald Sun's campaign coverage last week really does take the cake. It's no wonder that a recent Roy Morgan survey found News Corp to be Australia's most distrusted media brand. And on that theme, let's move to another example and take a look at News Corp's Peter Gleeson, the Sky News host and Courier-Mail columnist, who recently took aim at Queensland's Palaszczuk government with this front-page hit job.
Power and Palaszczuk.
Statia's State, a Peter Gleeson investigation.
That 12-page special served up 5 double-page spreads on the twists and turns of the Palaszczuk government. And spoiler alert, it was not a flattering portrait. So, what do we know about its author? Well, Peter Gleeson is a former editor of the Sunday Mail and a mate of Queensland's opposition, LNP. In fact, here he is on the podium as guest speaker at a big LNP fundraiser on the Gold Coast just 2 weeks ago. Gleeson is also a well-known critic of the ABC on Sky.
You pay the wage. You, sitting at home there now, you pay the wage of the presenters and producers at the ABC. You don't pay my wage.
So, was this investigation all his own work? Well, no. As former ABC journo Josh Bavis quickly pointed out, by tweeting one of his old stories alongside Gleeson's and accusing the mailman of lifting chunks of his analysis word for word. And indeed, Gleeson had pinched 4 whole paragraphs of the ABC story almost verbatim.
Jackie Trad played a crucial role in such pivotal moments as passing the state's land clearing laws, decriminalising abortion, and ensuring mining giant Adani would not be given a royalty holiday. Trad was unafraid to say what she thought, whether it was telling the Catholic Archbishop Mark Coleridge he had more important things to focus on than commenting on historic changes to abortion laws, or labelling former LNP MP Jason Costigan sleazy for posting a picture to social media with bikini models.
Oh dear. So how had this happened? We were told Gleeson had accidentally stolen them because the Courier-Mail acknowledged an error and admitted 4 paragraphs were not the author's work, but then added, News Corp's Code of Conduct states that plagiarism is theft. 4 days later, after an investigation by the Mail, Gleeson coughed up an apology on page 4 of the paper, claiming it was not a deliberate act and calling the error unintentional plagiarism. So, how does that work? You tell me. Hours before the apology, rumours were rife that Go-Go Gleeson was gone, and that Courier-Mail editor Chris Jones had fired him. But on Thursday, Gleeson told Media Watch he had not resigned. So we asked if he would still be writing his column. Gleeson wouldn't tell us, and News Corp said it couldn't. But we have now investigated too, and Media Watch can reveal that Gleeson's 12-page special took even bigger chunks of a 2015 story by ex-Courier-Mail journalist Jason Tin.
When asked directly whether she believed her government owed the unions anything for the role they played in her election win, she said no. The Premier said Bullock's comments did not concern her. Another video, posted by United Voice just days earlier, also celebrates the election of the 7 MPs.
In all, Gleeson cut and pasted 13 paragraphs from Tin's 2015 story, without quotation marks or proper attribution. And on Friday came yet more revelations of plagiarism by Gleeson from The Guardian's Amanda Mead, who told readers,
in an opinion piece in March, the Courier-Mail columnist, Peter Gleeson, who apologised this week for plagiarising another journalist's work, filled 62% of his article with copy from a Queensland Parliament fact sheet.
It seems that Gleeson is a serial offender. We asked News Corp if it had been aware of these two new instances of plagiarism. We got no answer. We also asked if Gleeson would now lose his job at the Courier-Mail and Sky News, and if not, why not? On Saturday, News Corp came back with a statement to say,
Peter Gleeson has taken personal leave. Discussions will continue with him at the appropriate time.
Given that News Corp's own code of conduct regards plagiarism as theft, he surely has to be sacked. Meanwhile, there may yet be more to this saga because the Queensland Premier's office has drafted a complaint to the Australian Press Council, alleging that 6 of the Council's 8 principles were breached by the Gleeson special and stating,
it contravened the Council statements on accuracy, fairness, balance, integrity and transparency, while admitting its blatant plagiarism, no penalty or punishment for those responsible has been revealed.
All in all, it's quite a charge sheet. We'll see whether the APC finds the paper guilty. But in the meantime, last word to Peter Gleeson, who said himself a few months back,
that sort of plagiarism, that's just not on, is it?
Nope, it's not. But now, to social media and the billionaire bully who's taken over the town square.
I am not evil, I just misunderstood.
After agreeing to buy Twitter for $44 billion US, then backing out, then getting sued and being ordered by a judge to buy it anyway, erratic billionaire Elon Musk is now Chief Twit.
Yes, Elon Musk now owns Twitter, and users could be in for a rough ride. Musk is, of course, the CEO of Tesla and founder of rocket company SpaceX. But he's also a notorious loudmouth who's famous for his crazy tweets on the platform he's purchased, including one from last week about the brutal attack on the husband of US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
The attack on Paul Pelosi is being wildly discussed on social media. Today, Twitter's new owner joined that conversation.
Elon Musk tweeted and then deleted a link to an unfounded conspiracy theory.
And the theory he shared, that Paul Pelosi was not the subject of a right-wing political attack, but was the victim of a drunken dispute with a male prostitute. Yes, seriously. To which Musk had added the comment,
there's a tiny possibility there might be more to this story than meets the eye.
Musk's tweet, which was justifiably ridiculed, was shared 28,000 times before being deleted. So it's no big surprise that many people are worried what the new chief Twit will do with his toy. As columnist Robert Reich wrote in The Guardian,
the fact that he personally posts such unhinged, dangerous drivel within 3 days of taking over the platform suggests he doesn't give a damn.
And fears of the future were fanned when the new boss arrived at the office on day one carrying a sink and tweeting, let that sink in. Funny, eh? So, what has he changed so far? Well, Musk has already fired the board and several executives and started laying off half the staff. He's also made himself sole director and, yes, changed his Twitter bio again.
It's a Twitter complaints hotline operator. There it is right there. He also tweeted that if he had $1 for every time someone asked him if Trump is coming back on the platform, Twitter, he says, would be minting money.
And while Musk hasn't yet welcomed Donald back into the fold, he has upset users by looking to claw back some of his billions by charging $8 a month for the blue tick that verifies accounts for journalists and public figures to show they're not fake. Not only do many users not want to pay, it also devalues the system, as CNN's Oliver Darcy explains.
When you de-verify everyone that doesn't pay you $8 a month, I think it's going to be a lot more confusing. And when you verify anyone who is paying you $8 a month, it's going to open this up potentially for imposters and others to take advantage of the system.
And all that is part of a bigger concern that Twitter will now allow free rein to hate speech and conspiracy theories. In April, Musk told his 113 million Twitter followers,
for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally.
And in pursuit of that equal offence, Musk has pledged to cut back on moderation to promote free speech. So, how crazy could it get with Musk at the wheel? He says there's nothing to fear.
And appealing to advertisers, Musk tweeted that Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences.
But his own tweets give little comfort. Back in 2018, he had to apologise to British diver Vernon Unsworth for tweeting that he was a pedo guy after the pair got into a row over rescuing 12 boys from that flooded Thai cave. And it's that reckless behaviour that has the media asking,
what happens when the guy who preaches from the town square suddenly owns the town square?
Advertisers get nervous, for starters. The New York Times reports that several big brands, including General Motors, have hit pause on their spending while they see how the drama plays out. But while the fear is real, some say it's overblown, with former Twitter executive Ali Rugani telling CNBC,
my prediction is that the rules that are ultimately set up won't differ markedly from the rules that are set up today.
The former CEO of Facebook Australia also thinks Musk's talk of loosening moderation to encourage a free-for-all will be restrained by economic reality.
I think that's not going to wind up maybe quite as far as some people think. The problem that he has is it still needs to be a relatively sane platform in order to attract advertisers, where, again, Twitter still needs those advertisers' money, and advertisers don't like places that are toxic. And so that's a big problem for him. It's not so much users leaving, it's more advertisers leaving.
Also watching closely are the mainstream media, who are big players on Twitter. And if Musk opens up the floodgates to misinformation, fake news and hate speech, you can expect journalists and media companies to take their leave as well. Indeed, we hear our very own ABC is weighing up if it wants to remain on Twitter under Musk's new world order. That's all from us for tonight. You can read a full statement from Shine Lawyers on our website. And don't forget our latest episodes of Media Bites on Facebook, YouTube and iView. But for now, until next week, goodbye.